Action Partnership on whole family and two-generation services. And we always like to start off our Community Action Partnership meetings with the promise. So just join me for a moment there at your desk in the promise of community action. Community action changes people's lives, embodies the spirit of hope, improves communities, and makes America a better place to live. We care about the entire community, and we are dedicated to helping people help themselves and each other. So this webinar and many of the webinars that are hosted on Wednesdays at the partnership are part of the Learning Community Resource Center. And the purpose of the Learning Community Resource Center is really to help community action agencies build capacity to fight poverty. So the webinar Wednesdays are really an effort to help deepen your practice, to transform your practice at the community action level. And we're really excited about the presenters we have with us today. So we're going to talk about two really good models, innovative practices for serving parents and children together. And we'll be looking forward to seeing your questions as our presenters share with us their knowledge and their wisdom today. Just want to give a shout out to the Learning Community Resource team, Gerald Crocker, who is a director at the National Partnership, Tiffany Marley, a director of practice transformation, Zandy McKinley, who is not with us today, but does a lot of the work for the Learning Community Resource Center. You've heard Liza Porras, who's providing support and helping us to make things run smoothly today. Courtney Kohler, who's a senior associate for training and technical assistance, and then myself as a subject matter expert. Our agenda this afternoon is I'm going to lay a little bit of groundwork, just background on two-gen and whole family in case you're new to that conversation. And then we're going to hear from Candy Mellon, who's the Director of Children's Services at Parents in Community Action, Inc., or PICA. And Candy's organization is in Minnesota, and they are a Head Start program serving Hennepin County, Minnesota. And then Charlie Martin Berry, who's a director at the Community Caring Collaborative in Machias, Maine. So we're going to hear from some folks who do some sort of urban, suburban work and folks who do more rural work. So no matter where you're at in America today, you're going to have some practice to help you no matter sort of what your geography looks like. And then we'll take questions after each speaker so that you can get any questions you have about that particular model answered. And then we'll wrap up with some resources that are available through the partnership and other means. So just quickly, in case some of you that have joined are sort of wondering a little bit about what two-generation approach means, you'll probably also hear me say, or you may hear others say, whole family approach. Those approaches have a very similar theory of change and logic models, so we use those terms we switch around on those terms sometimes, and that's not meant to confuse you, but different groups, different audiences, I think, use different terminology. But let's just talk a little bit, in case you are new, to the concept of two-gen or whole family approach. Lots of times you hear people say, oh, we operate Head Start, so we operate a two-generation program. But actually, and we're going to sort of delve into this a lot today, two-generation is really about serving parents and children both very intensively, having goals and outcomes for both the parent and the child and the family, having shared family goals across different programs or different strategies as workforce or Head Start or housing, aligning different services for families to respond to their unique needs, figuring out how to create easier access for families in getting their services. And this last one, high quality, intensive, intentional parent and child services at the same time. So sometimes our Head Start program or our community service program or our housing may be providing service to the adult, or maybe we're providing service to a child or youth, but we're not serving both of those populations at the same time. And not only serving both of those populations, but serving them intensively and intentionally. So I think we'd all agree that Head Start is a very intensive early childhood service for young children. But we want to make sure that our parent service is as equally high quality and intensive and intentional. And in both of our speakers' programs that you're going to hear today, they have very intensive, high quality, intentional services for parents that sort of are right up there with the services that folks get in early childhood through Head Start or other kind of early childhood or youth serving programs. So that piece about high quality, intensive, intentional is really important because of the theory of change and the logic model behind 2Gen and whole family. And we'll talk a little bit more about that theory of change here in a moment. Why 2Gen? You know, certainly a lot of people are talking about 2Gen or whole family today. And the idea is really that when you separate children from parents or youth from parents, you really are dimming that family's chance for success. When we serve them together, the chances that we move sort of that family, that child, that parent up and out of poverty are increased. And the chances that we break that intergenerational cycle of poverty are greater when we serve both the parent and the child intensively together. Sort of we're at a place with 2Gen that many people call it 2Gen 2.0. It's different than sort of 2Gen 1.0, which was more about service integration, but maybe the quality wasn't there with 1.0 or the intensity. And with 2.0, I think we've got a little bit clearer about who the target is. The target does matter. We know that the brain science and the research indicates that the earlier you can get a child's family on economic success and the earlier in a child's life that their family exits poverty, the greater that child's chances of good outcomes, health and economic outcomes. So it really does matter who we're targeting in these programs. At the risk of having a checklist for 2Gen, we have sort of created some principles, some guiding principles. The Aspen Ascend, who has really done a lot in the last 5 to 7 years on really moving 2Generation forward, has these principles about 2Generation, and that is that we measure and account for outcomes for both children and parents together, that we engage and we listen to family voices, that we ensure equity in the design. We design our program alongside families so that we can ensure equity and be informed by their wisdom and context, fostering innovation and evidence together, and then aligning and linking systems and funding streams. So those are a few of the sort of guiding principles we can pay attention to when we're thinking about whether we're 2Gen or whole family. So as I said, really meeting the needs of children and parents together at the same time is a really important aspect of the 2Generation whole family approach. And Ascend has developed this theory of change that highlights that if you have parents and children, and when I say parents, I want to also sort of recognize that we know that sometimes parents aren't in the picture. It may be grandparents or other caretakers in a child's life, and that's this model, this approach is inclusive of those situations too. So families look differently, but you have the family and intervening in a number of domains: early childhood education, post-secondary workforce, health and well-being, economic assets, social capital, that no one family may need all of these domains, but that these resources, these interventions are aligned for the family so that depending on what the family needs, these things can be brought to meet them where they're at. And that will increase, that will assure family economic security and educational success and health and well-being from one generation to the next. So that's sort of the model that we're working on. And you're going to hear from Charlie and Candy today really about workforce and post-secondary interventions that are intensive and high quality that are really going to help parents achieve that economic and educational success. I just wanted to flag that many of you that are out there in community action agencies, you may have Head Start at your agency. About 50.4% of CAAs run Head Start programs, and about 32.7% run early Head Start programs. Regardless of whether Head Start is in your agency or whether Head Start is a partner in your community, you can use the models and coordinate and collaborate with your Head Start colleagues in the community. So Candy's going to talk about, her Head Start program, which is not in a community action agency, but you can partner with Head Start programs that are outside community action agencies. And Charlie's model, they have a great partnership with their local community action agency. So just sort of wanted to say that this is inclusive of Head Start and community action in a community, no matter where it may be located. And then my last little laying the foundation, laying some groundwork here for everybody, is just a flag that at the National Partnership we've created a set of building blocks to help folks think about how they might shift to a whole family approach. And these building blocks cover engaging family voice, leadership, organizational change, and really aligning high-quality, intensive services for parents and children. So that second building block there on the bottom is the one we're going to really drill down in today with some good, real-life, on-the-ground examples about how some folks are supporting parents and helping them achieve economic success. So aligning high-quality, intensive services to parents can include all of the domains that I mentioned before, economic support, social capital, and even looking and thinking about parenting and executive functioning as part of that. And I think both of those things probably come out in one way or another in the programs that we're going to hear today. There's been some really interesting research done at HHS that indicates that 2-gen programs that are promising really have high-quality offerings for both parents and children, and that they consider the full range of the family's needs, potential gaps in the level of intention and the intensity of child-focused and parent-focused programs. So our webinar today is really designed to help give those of you out there in community action who are thinking about and in the process of shifting to a whole family approach to give you some examples of how you might ratchet up or improve or deepen your work, your economic success work with parents. So with that, I'm going to kind of be quiet until it's time to address questions, and we're going to hand the ball over to Candy, and she's going to share with you their program in Hennepin County, Minnesota, which I heard about in December, and ever since I heard about it, I've been talking about it everywhere I go all across the country, and I really appreciate Candy's generosity in being with us this afternoon and presenting her model. So, Candy, the floor is yours.
All right. Thank you, Jeannie. Thank you for the invitation today, to participate and share our program that we're doing here at Pike in Minneapolis. First of all, I want to give you some basic information about our program. We are the federal Head Start grantee for Hennepin County since 1969. Like Jeannie said, we are not a CAP program. And so we've been around a long time. We serve just over 2,500 children, including pregnant mothers and children ages 6 weeks to 5 years. So that's both early Head Start and Head Start. We have 13 centers, including an early Head Start child care partner and 102 classrooms. We have a variety of program options for families to serve their needs, spanning from part-time to full-time, and different kind of partnership models with various programs like our public school system and serving children who are residing in homeless shelters. Some things about us is, first of all, we are the #1 trainer of teachers of color in the state of Minnesota. We have an in-house CDA program. We support our staff with getting their associate's, bachelor's, and master's degree and parent training. We have a number of different opportunities for parents to kind of start this process, from everything from ESL to GED to various trainings and workshops, and including what we're going to talk about today, our parent training project, which was created back in 1980, basically for the purpose of, at that time, to put some extra hands in the classroom and allow parents to really kind of get involved in their child's classroom and really understand what it takes to work with children. We have 5 different training projects, and they all include a 96-hour total training. So parents can choose from any of these 5 projects. They can also do more than one if they'd like. Really, the goals of the training project is for the parents to really just have a basic understanding of what child development is, appropriate expectations for children, networking and getting to know people, basic parenting and advocacy skills, and then just exploring those fields and at a very basic level, what it means to work, to have a schedule, to make sure you have arrangements for childcare during that time, all those kinds of basic requirements that it takes to really have a job. When parents are interested in participating in our program, the parent training projects, they have to complete an application, and the application then gets approved by each center's parent center committee. After that, then the parents receive an orientation, which includes some basic health and safety kinds of information, and then they're assigned to a staff trainer. The staff trainers are the trainers who are our employees who are working in those jobs. So they're the teachers, the cooks, the drivers, the clerical staff. So these are not people who are hired to be trainers. They're actually doing their full-time position and training parents at the same time. We provide a training workbook for parents, and it's in English and Spanish. And so that helps kind of parents understand, reflect on their training, get some basic information on what they're reviewing in those individual training projects. It goes week by week, so they'll really kind of just processing what they've learned and documenting it so that they can kind of go back and look at those things, and then they review that with their trainer as well. They also get some just basic information for people who are aware of Head Start. One of the things we have to do if you provide transportation, which we do, is you have to have bus monitors. So our parents are our monitors, and part of the requirements of this training project is that they participate in that as well. So they have to ride the bus with the children, and then part of their workbook then also includes just some basic information, child development. So if they're in the nutrition portion of the parent training projects, they still get some information about child development and general kinds of information about what it means to have a job. The staff get trainer's guides that are unique to their areas. So we have one for transportation, one for food service, clerical, and then the classroom. And as I said, the staff that are doing this are the staff that are doing these jobs. So this is an additional expectation to what they're doing. For the staff, we also provide kind of a step-by-step process, so it kind of takes the guesswork out of it. They have a script at times on what to say and how to say it. They have a checklist of things they need to complete, and so it gives them kind of a no-brainer as far as what they need to do. At the end of each training, the parent gets an evaluation that the trainer completes, and the parent also then completes an evaluation on their training as well. Once they've completed their training, their 96 hours, they get a $300 stipend, and this is funded. We have this funded out of our Head Start funds, of our training and technical assistance funds. After parents complete the training, they also have an opportunity those that are interested in really kind of going deeper into what it means to be a teacher, they can participate in a parent internship program, which is a full-time 700-hour paid internship. And again, they're assigned to a teacher who is their mentor teacher, and they really get deeper into the ideas and the strategies of teaching, which include how to document observations, lesson planning, adult and child interactions. And then throughout that internship, they're able to participate in our in-house CDA program, which parents will be able to get their CDAs then at the end of their internship. And again, the benefits to the parents are really they just for themselves, they get an understanding of their children and what are common milestones and things to look for. They learn about some things in literacy information and just entry-level job information, and just able to explore some of the different things to see what they're interested in and want to maybe pursue at the end. The child is benefited as well because they see that their parents are involved in these training projects. They're in their classrooms and centers. The children get an extra, like I said, an extra pair of hands, so it reduces our adult-child ratios. And then, of course, to our agency, it adds diversity to the classroom. Our program is very diverse in that, and we have a potential pool of people going through both the training projects and the internship to potentially hire as staff, which helps us because we have the minimum credentials that are required for education staff. And then it also gives parents who might be bilingual an opportunity, gives us more language models in our program. Implementing something like this in your programs really means just seeing a need, having the resources to do it, and parents interested in doing it, and then using some training funds if possible to help support those stipends, which really is initially is the draw for parents to come into the program. Here are some of our outcomes for the interns over the last few years. So you can see this has been a good resource for us to hire staff. We've had a real workforce shortage in our area for the last couple of years, particularly with teachers. So this has allowed us to get a number of parents who are interested and hired as staff people. We average about 200 parents a year who will complete those parent training projects, so that really gives us a pool of potential employees. We kind of have termed this as growing our own, and as I said earlier, we support, once the parents become staff, we support them in going beyond that CDA, getting their degrees. And this is kind of where we're at right now in our stats of our education staff. Another fact in our state, and another reason to do this is, for many, many years, our percentage of teachers of color has remained the same and is very low. And so it is important to us as an agency that our staff reflect the parents and the children both culturally and linguistically. Here is a sample of how diverse our program is among the child ethnicities, and as the main outcome of this whole thing, you can see that our staff ethnicities pretty much match our children's ethnicities. So this is really our ultimate goal, and now we are actually approaching more closer to about 50% of our staff are former or current Head Start parents. And that's our program.
So Candy, you have one question in here. Does Head Start allow the parent participation as in kind? Oh, I think you're muted. Yes. Okay. Go ahead.
The answer is yes. We can use that as in-kind services also.
You cut out just a little bit. Try that one more time.
Okay. The answer is yes. We can use parents participating in these programs as in-kind.
Great. Thank you.
There's actually one more question. Sorry. The other question is, what is the total cost per year, and do you have any special funding or partnerships?
Well, the total cost is, like I said, they get a stipend of $300. So, and we average about 200 parents who complete that a year. So that's kind of what we project annually as a total cost. And we don't have any specific partners. We just we designate our Head Start dollars to financially support this project.
Thank you. Kitty, could you talk a little bit about some of the transportation, the clerical, the food service? Are there certifications if parents want to go deeper in those topics? How you might support their certification in some of those other areas?
Yeah, so for transportation, the goal of those projects is that parents could complete it and end up with a commercial driver's license. So that's what they would be able to get. We will help them get their permit and then take their driving test to get that. The nutrition service, they're able to work towards getting a food manager's certificate, which means they could work in a commercial kitchen. So they are able to kind of start the process and get some of that training and time and experience to do that.
Great. Thank you. Other questions for Candy? Okay, Candy, I got to tell a story that I heard this morning when I told somebody I'm at a national conference in D.C., and some of your friends and colleagues from the state Minnesota office are here, and I told them that we were doing this webinar this afternoon, and they told me two anecdotes or stories which I think prove out that your sort of respect and deep value of parents and having so many parents as staff probably plays out in 1,000 different great ways. So one story they told me was that when kids come in the morning, that you guys have a lot of different ways that you welcome the kids in a lot of different languages, and that is done very intentionally, and that parents were not using the resource center, and you installed some washer and dryers in one of the resource centers. So parents now come in, bring a little laundry, set and talk, and visit and use their resources. And I think those are just two great anecdotes that probably give a little bit of color to all the benefits that you see from having parents trained and coming in and being part of the staff of your program.
Yeah, really. I mean, you know, once we get them in the door, we really feel like we've got them. So whether it's a meal, it's a wash a load of clothes, use the computer, or just have a comfortable place to relax, that's what we're going to do.
I love it. It's great. Thank you so much. And if you're out there and you think of something else, put it in the chat, and maybe we'll have a few minutes at the end. But in the meantime, let's hand the ball over to Charlie Martin-Berry. As I said, Charlie is in Machias, Maine, and I can't think of a program in the country that has to co-design with parents so that they can be successful than Charlie and all her people at her site. So Charlie, we're going to hand the ball to you.
Thanks so much, Jeannie, and good afternoon, everyone. Candy, that was inspirational. I just have to tell you, I want to come to Minneapolis, and I also want to buy washer and dryer units for our family room. So thank you so much for sharing. I'm here in Maine on a gray day, and this is sort of the brightest part of the day is to be with you all. So I'm delighted to talk about Family Futures Down East and the strategies that we've developed here to support parents and children together and focus on some of those strategies specific to parents in terms of workforce and post-secondary support. So Family Futures Down East is a 2-gen employment and education program here in Washington County, Maine. And there's a couple pictures of beautiful Washington County, Maine. Just to set the scene a little bit, we are all the way up the East Coast, so almost to Canada, but still in the U.S. and right on the coast. And we're a very, very rural county, home to about 32,000 people. That number's getting smaller. And we do have 2 reservations that are made up of members of the Passamaquoddy tribe in eastern Washington County. You know, just looking at the photos there, you can see that our industry has historically been seasonal and sort of physically demanding, but more and more health occupations really do rule the day in terms of economic activity. We are the oldest state. Some of you may know Maine is the oldest state, and we're in the oldest county. And we have real challenges around workforce participation locally and across Maine as my parents, right, as baby boomers age out of the workforce, and we just don't have the younger population to replace them. And our work is really to invest in that younger population here in Washington County who have ties to the place, and we want to invest in parents and their children so that they may stay here. But here, there are high rates of poverty, low rates of educational attainment, and lower rates all the time of workforce participation. So we really have our eyes on those sort of population level indicators as we have built this response for families. Our organization, the Community Caring Collaborative, has been in place for about 12 years. Our work is to really support the organizations that are supporting the people, and we do that by bringing those organizations together and offering a variety of trainings really around some core values that increase their skills and knowledge so that they can best build relationships and serve community members. We raise money annually to help remove financial barriers for community members who are working with our organizational partners as they try to reach specific goals. And really what we'll talk about today is how we have worked to incubate new programs where they're missing and in response to community members' needs, their aspirations, and some of those complex demographic or social challenges that I was naming a little earlier. Our work, we're little. We're a staff of 5 people. We are not a 501c3. We operate with a fiscal sponsor, and when we help build new programs and responses, we help to design them, we help to implement them, find sustaining resources for them, and then give them away, essentially put them in the appropriate organizational home or in this case, a new organizational collaborative so that it may endure. So when we do that work of program incubation, we are absolutely listening to parents. And when we did listen to the parents in Washington County as we built Family Futures Down East, their aspirations were really clear. They are motivated families here who do just want to be able to pay their bills and move beyond that sort of survival mode that they're always in. They definitely saw college as a pathway to family-sustaining careers. They wanted to end the cycle of poverty in their families, and they also wanted to. Many cited a desire to have better information about parenting because they didn't necessarily have great role models. So, how to be better parents, how to earn greater wages is very much and has been on the mind of low-income families in Washington County for a long time. And universally, parents we spoke with when they shared their aspirations and some vulnerabilities around their aspirations, there's always the desire to give back. And we honor that. Anyone who might ask for a service or support that they need, they always do have something that they can share. And we try to honor that in every way. So we imagined, okay, if maybe we could build this opportunity for parents to get more information about parenting and be able to go to school, we said, if we could do that, what might be in your way? What would make it hard? And so they really shared with candor what those types of barriers would be. And there's some of them are just sort of logistical things that are about lack of resources, not enough money to pay for tuition, or no wheels or no internet. Consistently in that sort of survival mode, and all cited a lack of safe, quality, affordable childcare. That's a major barrier for employment and post-secondary opportunities, and we knew we needed to respond to it. With that, parents also said there was just there was more emotional barriers around just not knowing if they had the support to do it, having a lot of self-doubt, and then those systems barriers where they're already navigating so many systems and it's overwhelming and the benefits cliff is real and services show up and then they go away and that causes a loss of trust. So what we had to do was respond to the parent aspirations and remove those barriers that they named. And our work as a collaborative was to think about how to do that, how to build the right response. It had to include post-secondary education, workforce and career pathway supports. But before parents were going to be ready for college, they thought we might need some tutoring or some college readiness support. We also knew we needed to find a way for parents to access high quality early care and education. And that's a limiting factor for us just in terms of scale, sort of in every way, making sure that we have I don't know, Candy, you said 102 classrooms. That's a lot of classrooms. So we are constantly working to think about those supports and additional capacity in terms of childcare. And we also knew that in terms of some of those other barriers, whether they were logistical or emotional, we needed to build supports in there so that parents had somebody at their backs, somebody to help them navigate all those systems, somebody who said, you've got this, we believe in you, we're here for you, and coaching is a major strategy around that. We also thought that developing a cohort approach might bring peers together in powerful ways, and it has. Designated spaces on campuses where parents and children are welcome is also part of the strategy to help make the campus transition, which is a daunting and intimidating one, feel more comfortable, more friendly. Imposter syndrome, not feeling like I don't belong here is a real concern for folks. We also developed some pretty innovative ways of making the curriculum feel relevant and less intimidating, and I'll talk a little bit more about how we did that. So when we build a response, our work is to assemble the partners who can deliver or contribute those specific strategies. They have the expertise to do post-secondary supports or educational childcare or help remove barriers around transportation or internet. And so almost sequentially, the academic, workforce, career programming partnerships with our Department of Labor Career Center and an adult education partner, Axiom Education and Training Center, are those sort of first, we're going to help get you ready, right? We're going to get you ready. We're going to get you skilled up in order to get into school, enroll, and get you moving, right, into college. And a lot of those things that help people get ready for college are also helping them get ready for jobs. There's some similar sort of skills development that helps people, especially around some of the executive function piece, time management, goal setting. And there's a lot of assessments that happen at that stage too. And then in a cohort, a closed cohort where classes are specific to Family Futures Down East, parents are taking classes in the evenings 2 nights a week, and they are in a fall semester, a spring semester, and then a summer term. And the classes are indeed contextualized to be relevant to family life, and they are also developed as core curriculum credits like English 101 or psychology or speech. And these are classes that folks might need to take for a number of degree programs, and those satisfy those core curriculum credits, and they earn 15 in the first year, and that's the intensive year of Family Futures Down East. At the same time parents are in classes, their children are participating in high quality early care and education. One of our parent participants calls it educational childcare, which we like. And before all those evening activities get rolling, parents and their children have a meal together. And sometimes that's one of the only meals they have together that day. It's important that they get that time together and the nutrition, and they are going into their evenings ready to learn. Our organization helps resolve a lot of those barriers that make access to the program tricky, especially car repairs. So we're raising some of the resources to help make sure that they've got a ride, and transportation is just a major barrier. And in all places, it's a big deal in rural places, and so we work hard around that. We also are the training partner for all of the staff who are working with Family Futures Down East, and we're really working to train the partners at all levels and across the partnership in some key values, really core values around being poverty, trauma, and substance use informed, and also building skills around cultural competency and understanding issues of equity. Those trainings are really essential to service delivery and shared values for the program. Our clinical staff also offer many hours a week, actually, of clinical consultation to the staff. And one of the unique pieces of this partnership is that we're all equals in this. There's 7 organizations, we're all equals, delivering a coordinated set of services around a shared goal of family economic security. And uniquely, the Economic Development Council in our county is the financial home for Family Futures Down East. And as I said earlier, this is an economic development strategy for Washington County, and investing in the families who are part of this place. And so we work hard with our economic development partners to frame that in ways that the whole community can understand and celebrate. So we can enroll up to 32 families per year. They're low-income families who are TANF or SNAP participating and can access federal financial aid. They need to have completed high school, and part of the 2-gen approach is that they also need to be willing to enroll their children in that evening programming that's happening at the same time. So having a child between 0 and 8 who can join the evening programming is part of the eligibility. And we also are just really looking for those motivated parents who we talked to now years ago, who are saying, we want this information about parenting. We want to be able to go to school and create a better future for our children. Coaching, as I said, is a major strategy. The coaches, that's Jessie in the middle there on the bench, she's phenomenal. The coaches who support the parents in our community, the coach who supports our parents in the community college is Jessie, and Lori supports parents at the University of Maine System College. They're the first point of contact. They are the champion for families. They're helping them set goals, build skills, resolve barriers, connect to resources, connect to one another, and are sometimes the glue, right, that holds a lot of the communication strategies together and a lot of the supports together for parent participants. They help transition families into their next year, sometimes, and the goal is that that's a year where they're on their own in the post-secondary setting, and they have the support of a transitions coach in the next year. The early learning approach for children is one that is, we're fortunate to have the co-location of services available children are like, they think this is their college too, right? They are, sometimes they're in the library, they're in the pool, they really are at home on campus, and that's intentional. And we are working to make sure that their skills are increased, especially focusing around social emotional learning, language and literacy, and just overall reaching developmental milestones that we want to make sure kids are on track. Social capital is an interesting, it's an interesting component of the 2-gen work. I think it's pretty common that families don't necessarily enter into 2-gen programming looking for increased social capital, but boy, does it happen. And it happens naturally, and it happens beautifully, and it can happen when you create a platform for it. And we know the cohort model helps a lot with that. They're in the same boat, in a lot of ways. And so they're able to support each other in classes, outside of classes, through social media. They're texting one another. They're helping when things are hard. They're helping with celebrations. The social capital piece is sort of a delightful outcome, I think, for parents who didn't come into the program looking for friends, but they sure found some. And the children make those friendships as well. The program is definitely intended for participants to increase employment and earnings outcomes across time. But one of the things we're finding is that it's happening much sooner than we anticipated. So as coaches and our partner staff at the Career Center and our and the Adult Education site are helping participants sort of be successful on campus, those skills are transferring over to jobs that they have, and their jobs are they're changing. They're adding responsibility. They're moving from some of the seasonal work or the gig economy to more full-time work with better wages. Most of the participants work. 78% of the participants in Family Futures Down East work, and as they get more supports through Family Futures Down East that help them succeed in college, those supports are also helping them succeed in their jobs. So this is Cynthia. She loved her job at Joe's Diner, but now she's selling cars at Pratt Chevrolet. She's rocking it. She's doing a wonderful job, and she has this network behind her and cheering for her, and we're excited for Cynthia. So all of those workforce supports we are learning are making a difference sooner than later, and we do really credit some of those college prep skills as skills that can be easily transferred into the employment setting. So we also feel like that first year that's super supportive, where you have those coaches who've got your back and you've got some flexible barrier removal resources to help you build assets as a family. We know that those are going to work for families in ways that have real meaning. If you have a car that we're committed to helping repair so that you can get to college, it also just means you can get to your job. And so it's just a win-win. And within those courses, parents are, this is not a sector-based 2-gen training program that puts people directly into a health occupation, for instance. They're getting general education requirements that build this sort of foundation for post-secondary pursuits, and so they can, from that foundation, explore career pathways and academic programs that connect them to high-wage or high-demand jobs in our area. Just as Jeannie described earlier, we are absolutely looking at child, parent, and whole family outcomes, and I've named a number of them already. The social emotional skills and school readiness for children are part of the universe of our performance measures. The increased confidence, increased executive skills, employment and earning, and that fall-to-fall persistence across time in the college setting is an important measure for us. And measuring social capital and increased financial stability just tells us things are happening for the whole family that are giving them some of the supports and stability to help them move forward. So we are excited, and so are some other folks, especially in the University of Maine and community college systems, about those fall-to-fall persistence rates. So when students can complete the first year of Family Futures Down East, they're staying in college And 87% of those parent participants taking classes the following fall after that intensive year of FFD is a phenomenal number. We're thrilled by that number. When part-time non-traditional students at campuses across the country just they don't have that level of fall-to-fall persistence. So something about this coordinated set of strategies is working. We're absolutely supporting the development of career plans. Again, I mean, if you meet Cynthia or some of the other FFD participants, that self-confidence is just, I get inspired by how inspired and fired up they are. And again, the work that's happening around removing barriers and the way that barrier removal work really helps build assets that have implications for more than just FFD and their post-secondary experience. We're excited about that. People are absolutely benefiting from some of those stabilization support. So in 2Gen, it should make a difference for families, and 2Gen should make a difference for systems. And we're excited by those results, where parents are just like, they're grabbing at this opportunity. They didn't, this wasn't here before. College was a much tougher climb. Where were their kids going to go if they were going to try to go back to school and take classes? This is an opportunity that they're seizing, and they're nailing it. They really are. They're doing it. We're 3 cohorts in. This is our third implementation year, and we're thrilled by the progress parents are making. Some of the associate's degrees are starting to rack up now that we've seen a few years of college participation. And college is on everyone's mind in the families. When children and aunts and uncles and grandparents are there at graduation ceremonies and celebrations, you can see that it's changing conversations across families. Children are in high quality settings, again, sometimes for the first time. And there is this sense in our small towns that the FFD is onto something, and people are indeed rooting for these families. I am, and hundreds of others are, and it's exciting to see. But we also have this really unique MOA. It's this memorandum of agreement with 7 agencies signed on for their particular contributions, it was a piece of work to get that agreement in place, but it is, and we're working to update it now. We see that ways that training around some of those core values that I named earlier make a difference for staff who are working with FFD families, but they're working with other students and other clients, and those lessons learned and those values that they're embracing are rippling across those organizations in really meaningful ways. We're learning all the time what it means to share tricky things. It's tricky to share data. It can be sort of technically tricky to share resources, but we're doing it. Collaboration is about sharing data and resources and accountability and results and credit, and this partnership does a brilliant job with those things. We are also pretty excited about the ways that the state of Maine has invested in Family Futures Down East, using some resources in TANF and in SNAP E&T. So that combination of private investment from foundation partners and public resources through the state of Maine is a really exciting sustainability pathway. So we've learned a lot, and we share what we're learning, and we try to re-articulate all the time what we're learning, but we know that listening to families resulted in a powerful solution. They're experiencing some of those complex challenges, and we listened, and we assembled the right partners to respond to them, and we committed to removing barriers, and we see it making a difference. We are working together in this collaboration that I described toward a shared goal of really building those families' assets and helping them change their futures, but also about building the economy of our county, keeping the vibrancy, youth, community, and workforce participation really in mind all the time. We had to take some risks. We took a lot of risks, and we just kept pushing for it, campaigning for it. And it does take some risk taking when not everybody is trained or not every position is filled. But we listened, we invited babies. Like, like Abraham there, and we listen to parents, and we've moved the work forward. We've leveraged a lot of technical assistance from state, regional, and federal partners. Jeannie's been a champion, and we're grateful. And as Jeannie mentioned earlier, the outcomes, they do have this sort of multiplier effect. Kids get really excited about their parents' success. Parents are thrilled by their children's success, and we try to create those moments where they can feel that inspiration and watch that ripple through their homes and their schools and their communities. Hard to measure, but we see it and we feel it, and it's part of the momentum. So I just offer a couple of quotes there from participants in the program, just to say what it means to them. We love to include their voice. Their voice was central to the design. It's central to quality and improvement. They tell us what works and what doesn't, and so it's constantly a work in progress, and as it should be. But it's making a difference.
Thank you so much, Charlie. I really so impressed with the work of both of your organizations. You guys are just doing incredible things for families, and you're not, standing still and kind of accepting the way things are. You're trying to do better, so it's so impressive. Charlie, you have a question here. Could you give more information on the program that helps with car repairs? It's something that this person said they're lacking, but I know it's an issue in many places.
Sure. It is an issue in many places, and I feel like what we are able to offer is sometimes, it doesn't come close to really resolving the overall need. But our organization, the Community Caring Collaborative, has developed a sort of flexible fund commitment to any program that we create. Any program that gets incubated gets done so with a commitment to these barrier removal resources, because we know what a difference they make in terms of accessing services and opportunities, and as we know, work. So we raise those dollars through private sources, and for Family Futures Down East, it's not hundreds of thousands that we're able to raise to support those flexible fund requests, and auto repairs are the biggest request for flexible funds. It's tens of thousands of dollars. On top of that, we also have developed a program that supports many more of our organizational partners beyond FFD, called the Hope Fund, and we've just developed a set of guidelines and criteria for our partner agencies to help families apply to the fund to access resources that help them reach a goal, and often that goal is about transportation. And that fund, we're able to raise, on average about $75,000 a year, and we help about 75 families a year. And that program has been in place for 7 years now. Jeannie, maybe you're muted.
Gotcha. They just want to confirm that you're using, Candy, that you guys use Head Start funds solely to support your training and internship and certification programs. And I know you said this, but can you reaffirm that? Because I think folks are like, wow, that's unbelievable. There you go. Go ahead.
I can confirm that, yes, that's what we use. And primarily training and TNTA money is what we use to support that program.
Thank you. So you see Charlie and Marcia's contact information here, and I'm going to just, there are on the slides that will be posted on the partnership website, there are a number of resources that can help you with your 2-generation shift. We also have a design plan that you can use, and this OPRE report here that's on the screen really focuses in on the importance of quality, high quality intensive services for parents and children. And then, Liza, if you'll flip over to the last slide, I think we've got both Candy and, well, maybe we don't. Do we have Candy and Charlie's contact information? No, not on that last slide, but it's in the PowerPoint, and folks will have access to both of their emails and can reach out and talk to them about specifics if they have additional questions. I also want to just say that this webinar will be posted. The recording will be posted. So if you're at home or at the office and thinking, man, I wish my colleagues would have heard this. This was fabulous. You can, once it's posted on the partnership website, you can share it with others, other folks in your network and in your sphere of influence. Thank you, Candy and Charlie. You guys did an awesome job of talking about your great practices. I know folks are going to be talking about this, and we're all going to get follow-up emails, I know, one way or the other. Liza, is there anything before we sign off that you see in the chat or anything from the partnership perspective you want to flag?
Yes, there was just one other question for Charlie, which is how do you handle situations where clients may be in default or own your local community college dollars, which prohibits them from enrolling? Does your program pay that past debt?
So yes, when we can, applicants need to be able to enroll in the community college or the University of Maine at Machias, and in order to do that, they often need to be able to provide transcripts from former institutions, or sometimes they've already participated in those institutions and may have some past due bills. When they have past due bills at former institutions, that sort of tie things up in terms of getting transcripts, and they're not terribly high, and by that I mean usually less than $2,000. We try to find the resources to pay those bills. If they have loans that are in default or other barriers around loans, we do what we can to help make sure that we can get them back into good standing with loans and on some payment plans, and then that helps move things along. Yeah.
Good question, because I know that is a common issue. Anything else, Liza?
Yeah, one more question, Charlie. What's the typical wait time for eligible participants to participate in the program?
Well, we have not had a waiting list for a cohort. We've been able to fill cohorts with applicants who are eligible in each of the 3 years. We keep waiting for that time when there are just more applicants than we have slots. It gets tricky when we are managing the number of children who can fit into the spaces available in our early learning centers, but we've been able to do it. What is challenging is that the program starts with those college readiness, college transition, and supports in July, and it doesn't start again until July. So if you say, oh, I want to do Family Futures Down East, and it's October, there's some resources people can access to get ready for a July start. And we're thinking about that, like how do we bring people on board, and in what ways can we be supporting them without the formal post-secondary instruction, but be part of the 2-gen overall strategy.
Great. Candy, Charlie, any last words? Okay. All right, everybody. Thank you so much. Thanks for attending, and we'll see you down the road. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.
Great. Bye.
Bye.